Okay, let's do a little update to my NuWave stove. I posted one a little while ago, a couple months ago, and this is what I heat my garage with. It is now February 4th, 2021. Same stove as the previous video. I've done little modifications. You can see the bricks around the stove. So what I found with this stove is it'll put out a decent amount of heat, but the fire tends to go out pretty quickly. Um, as we can see, the fire goes out pretty quickly. A couple little tricks I learned is first, go to if you got a nearby sawmills or anything like that, or this looks like construction lumber, but it's not. It's actually slab wood. You can, if you know of any hardwood sawmills around, you go get this slab wood, and it seems to work the best. You want to burn a lot of hardwood, not much soft. I do start every fire every morning with softwood, and I have it all split up right here and ready to go. And then that's how I start the fire, and then as I'm keeping the fire going throughout the day, we do that with the hardwood slab wood. By doing it that way, what I found is at first I was burning a fire with just softwood, and what happens when you burn a fire with straight softwood is creosote builds up in your pipes. And I don't know if you can see in this was a section of pipe that was in there, and see this black stuff that's in there? That's creosote, and it's very, very flammable, and it's very bad for your chimney. You know, it'll eventually plug up your chimney. So some of the things I do to control it, now I last time I had that section of pipe was from here, and it come out 2 feet and then went down. So we took out that string of pipe, and then I put in this thermometer, and this is just a normal thermometer. You can get it for a wood stove, and right now we're burning a little cold because I just put fuel in it, but in a few seconds, once fire gets hot again, you're gonna see that it'll get up in the optimal range. Some of the other things I learned with this thing, and there's some more of that slab wood, it comes in really long sections. I got it up on the ceiling there. Typically they come in 8 or 10 foot sections. It's really not very good for building, but it works pretty good for burning. The reason it's horrible to build with is none of it's square. You'll get pieces that are bent and curved and full of knots, and you know, it's basically the stuff that they can't sell as good lumber. So they do sell it, but it's cheaper. It's typically you get a whole bundle of it. I can get it usually for like $30 a bundle, and a bundle is equivalent to about a face cord when it's all cut up. Some other things we've done, you can see, let's back up a little bit. Back up to the back of the garage here. So I put a fan up there above, and it's just blowing that warm air because it gets really hot in that corner. So it's blowing that warm air back to the rest of the garage. And by doing that, you know, if we go look at the thermometer, you know, it's 67 degrees, almost 68 degrees and rising out here. Oh, I had this on the top too, on the stack. This is part of that kit, and you can see on here it's got creosote that was building up on this bird cage that was up on the roof too. So we had to take that off, and we just got a normal rain cap up there. And then so yeah, I just recently put wood in there. There, she's back to getting hot again. Now, most stove manufacturers tell you to put that thermometer 18 inches off the top of your stove. But I don't. I put it up here. And the reason I put it up here is realize that creosote forms between 0 degrees and up to 300. And what we really want to do is we want to measure the temperature of the exhaust going out the chimney, because that's where the creosote builds up. Now I did have to take this apart and clean it. I did go and buy this is a pellet brush. It's for a 3-inch pipe. And so we do that. Usually, I think now we're doing it every 2 months. And once a month, we burn one of these things, this creosote control brick. And then we try to burn one a month, and then every 2 months we take it apart and clean it. And then in my last video, the pipe was silver. I just got sick of staring at silver pipe, so I painted it. In some spots I had some HVAC tape on it, but I learned that you don't need the HVAC tape, so that's why you can see where there's paint and no paint. But this thing seems to work pretty good. And by burning hardwood all day, that's a week's worth of ash. So in that little ash pan there, that's a week's worth of ash. So yeah, this is my new wave wood stove heating my garage. Seems to work pretty good. See, once fire's going now, okay, so it's up to temp. No creosote being formed. So it's measuring the temperature of the pipe, which is measuring the gas that's going out to the chimney. So, because you don't want that creosote to form and build up on you. And the bricks, the reason for the bricks is that they hold heat very well. So, because this fire will go out on me if I got to go do something, like blow snow later today or something like that. So if we look, these bricks get really hot. So that brick is 280 degrees. That brick is 250, almost 300 degrees. But if we go look at the pipe, that pipe's 400 or 500 degrees. And then, so even if the fire does pretty much go out, all there's left is a few coals. Those bricks are still keeping it warm enough that it's not going to, it'll be easy to relight. And then the heat shielding, a lot of people ask, you put heat shielding up, and how come, why so much of it? Well, if that heat shielding right now is kind of acting like a radiator. So basically what's happening is cold air gets drawn in. If we look at that block down there, that block is 60, 70 degrees is that block. But then it gets pulled behind that heat shielding, and if we turn and look over here, you'll see the heat shielding is actually out away from the wall. And there's just those are just copper, I used them as copper spacers, but they're just copper unions you buy I bought them at Lowe's for, cheap, and so you screw that heat shielding on so it's out away from the wall a little bit, and so that allows that cold air to get drawn in behind it, and then it gets pulled up behind it. And as it gets pulled up behind it, if we come up here, you can see that up there is 94 degrees, but that's hot air rises, so it's pulling that cold air in the bottom and shoving it out the top. And when it does, you'll see that back here, it's 85 degrees up here, pulling that out, and then the fan grabs it and throws it across the garage. So originally when I first tried this out, I was like, oh, maybe I'm not liking this idea and I'll have to get a pellet stove. But now it's working. I got the garage up to almost 6. It's the same temperature in the garage as it is in the house, and which means, it's supposed to snow a lot today. I think we're forecasted for in excess of 12, maybe more inches of snow. So later today I'll be out snow blowing, and it'll be, even if the fire does go out, the garage stays fairly warm. Yeah. And somebody asked if we could cook on this thing. You could theoretically. if you had a small cast iron or something like that, you could cook on it. Um, I don't, just because, that's what the kitchen's for. But if you had to in an emergency, you could, I guess. The only couple things I want to do now is I want to make this so it's more self-sufficient. So in the event of a power outage or anything like that, so I'm going to look into getting some alternate power out here, maybe solar or wind or something of that sort, so I can run these fans with alternative energy. But yeah, I like it. And so if you got a small garage, this is only a 12 by 24 garage. You got a small garage, you want to heat it fairly cheap. This would be the way to go. This little wood stove was like, I don't know, 150 bucks maybe, and then a 3-inch chimney along with the wall thimble and all that's probably another 150. So there's 300, and then I'm probably I buy probably 3 cords of wood, so I heat this space all winter. And our winter here is, here we're in northern Michigan in the Upper Peninsula. Our winter is probably 6 months long, so I heat my garage for 6 months. Only when I'm out here, obviously, but for 150 bucks, you can't do that on propane or natural gas or anything like that. So hope you like it, and more videos coming soon.